Greetings, everyone. It is everyone's favorite psychic, and today we're going to talk about the perils of being a psychic in retail. So if you are an empath, or if you're a psychic in any sense of the word, you know what it's like to walk by an aisle and see somebody standing there and you go back and there's nobody there. You know what that's like. But you also know what it's like when somebody comes up to you and tells you their whole life story. Before you know it, you're both sitting there at the register blubbering and crying, and you can't get yourself together, and you know you have to because there's another person behind them, and you just have to kind of decompress a little bit before you go to the next person. That's kind of what it is like to be a professional psychic. So there were things that I learned in that space that I bring to this. So at some point, one of my friends who was a voodoo priestess, this was years before I even thought about doing this professionally, but that's when my gifts were going off the charts and I needed to talk to somebody, and I was like, so I talked to her and she's like, yeah, you've got a fog around you. And, you know, she said Florida water could help me to kind of clear that energy. Because it was like I was going through a breakup and I saw it all coming, and I'm like, oh my God, it was intense. Anyway, I'll talk about relationships and the psychic experience another day. But anyway, so she said, Florida water, you can get it at CVS. So she said that she would keep it on hand at work, and whenever they would have a customer that was just rude and, you know, just difficult, that they would all, her and even her coworkers would all use it. Well, I started keeping some of that, and luckily I did not have many difficult customers in retail. Most people were so friendly, but I think it's important to keep something like that on hand, and crystals, the same as with what I do now, because you know, sometimes when you hear people's stories, you know, when you're working retail and you just want to be there for them, but you can't really be there for them because, you know, you're limited in what you can do. It is hard. So sometimes carrying something so that we can return to our own energy is important. And the same is true in the psychic experience, because when we're in the psychic experience, we are like open to all of it. It's just, it's just really like open. So we're kind of inviting a lot of that. In fact, one of the reasons, and I'll talk more about this another day, but one of the reasons that I was really intent on wearing crystals was because I had gone through a period of time where I was wearing them with it. Like, if I didn't have them on, I didn't feel right. And I was like, you're getting way too dependent on these. And so I stopped wearing them, weaned myself off. And then at some point, somebody was like, you got an attachment on you. And I'm like, that's weird. And they're like, yeah, that's why I wear my crystals all the time. So after that, I rarely went without wearing them at all.